Hey everybody, Cindy Daychuck here with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for joining me today. You know, I happen to have thrifted this little gold, sorry, not even gold, silver mirror. So I liked the details. I liked the leaves and the big pineapple on the top. And I paid $6 less, 30%. So I'm down at about $360-ish, right? $240 off. Okay, just, math. It is what it is. I didn't pay much. That's the point. But it's kind of ugly. So I thought that this would be a good project for us to play with a new technique, something I haven't shown you before. So to get started though, I need to have a nicer base than the silver. And this is really, it's really not done nicely. It's really quite ugly. And it's just, okay, let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at, it's ugly, and go from there. So for this technique, black is going to be an awesome base color for it. We're gonna want to have a dark color. You could do, red, a really deep, rich red would also work, but we're gonna be working with some metallics again. So I'm getting rid of the icky silver metallic, but we're still going metallic. So I am just using DIY Little Black Dress. I don't need to use a paint that already has a built-in top coat because the technique that we're going to be using, I'm going to be top coating it and then I'm going to be top coating it again. So it's all going to get sealed up anyway. So I can just use whatever I have open and I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to get this all painted up, and ultimately, if I do a fairly decent coverage on it, meaning I make sure that I get into the little nooks and crannies, odds are one nice solid coat is going to be enough, because we are going to be topping this with a number of other metallics and things. So I just need to make sure that I've just got a decent base for it all. So I'm gonna get it painted, let it dry, and then we'll come back for the fun stuff. All right, now that my black paint is dry, it's time for us to consider adding the metallics. Now, you've seen me do, I did a huge big black frame with black paint and gold leaf. And that's probably one of the most common things that you see people add metallics. I mean, apart from a metallic paint, right? And gold leaf comes in, any kind of gilding leaf comes in small little squares, and they are separated by fine little tissue paper. And they are these super thin little wavy sheets, right? So you put your sizing, is what it's called. It's kind of like a really watery glue. You paint your sizing, you let it dry until tacky, and then you apply your gold leaf, go over it with a really fine brush, and all the extra little bits and pieces go flying everywhere. So there's a lot of people that don't like using leaf for gilding, just because, two reasons. One, the mess, and it is messy. I love the look of it. I've used it in pieces, but it's messy. The other thing, and these are faux gold leaf. I mean, you can get 24 karat gold leaf, but you better be doing something you love, and you better be good at it. The other piece is, if you're doing, let's say, a door front, like a drawer front, right? The gold leaf comes in these small little, I don't know, maybe 5-inch or 5 by 5, or I think they're about 5.5 inches actually. So they come in those squares. So if you're looking to cover a big flat surface, you're gonna have the square lines of the pieces show. And some people don't care, other people care. And if you're one of those people that care, this technique, this option may be for you. And it is using, instead of leaf, it is using foil. So foil is thicker than the leaf, and it actually has a thin plastic coating. So you can see right here, if I turn it the other way, you can see that there's a section that I've used off of this sheet. So you are going to use your sizing on your piece, let it get tacky, and then you're going to apply your foil. Burnish it all down, so you're going to have the shiny surface up, that nice bright, in this case gold. And then once it's all really burnished and it's kind of adhered, you're going to pull it off. And it's going to leave a lot of the gold behind, or whatever color. And the thing about the gold foil is it comes in virtually, the foil itself, gold foil comes in gold. But the foil itself comes in multiple colors, and it even comes in all kinds of patterns as well. So if you were looking at having kind of this metallic, really funky finish, you can get it in the foil. And because you're able to apply it, this is a cut piece, but it usually comes on a roll. So you can see that you would get pieces that are more than big enough to go over an entire drawer front. And you're not going to have any of those lines from applying the 5.5-inch squares. The other thing that you can do with this is you can take your sheet, and before you apply it to your piece, you can crinkle it all up, so that if you were doing a big flat surface like a drawer front, if you don't want it to be a perfectly smooth finish, you could crinkle it all up, uncrinkle it, and then apply it, and then you would get all those creases through it. So you've got some flexibility. So, oh my goodness. So what I'm looking at doing is I'm looking at my piece being, okay, this is all falling apart here on me. All right, I'm looking at it being predominantly gold, and in this shade of gold, which is like that little piece I showed you. I do have copper, and I have kind of almost like a brushed steel. I have a red, I have a green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the predominantly gold piece first, and wherever I don't get adhesion or where I want to add a little bit of detail, I may put sizing over it again so that I can get some modeled looks or some variation. So I'm going to work with smaller pieces only because doing the edging and doing these sections up in here, it's going to be far easier than working with one great big huge honking piece. So super easy to cut apart, unlike gold leaf. If you're cutting the gold leaf, those little pieces, keep it between the tissue paper, cut it with the tissue paper. Use the tissue paper to help you apply it. I mean, it's lovely, but it's tricky. It likes to fly everywhere, and all those little gold leaf pieces, if you do this in your home, you end up with the gold leaf pieces. Just floating around your house for a long time to come, right? It's just the nature of the beast. All right. So I'm going to continue to get this cut apart. You don't really need to see me do all that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my sizing, and I thought I had a little cup over here. All right. So I have a big honking jar of this. So I'm going to use it. But if you're going to apply this right away, you could use like a spray adhesive. Spray the adhesive and then apply this right away while it's still really tacky. That would work too. I have done watered down glue in a pinch, like the watered down white glue in a pinch as well. So don't agonize over it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my whole piece painted with this, because we're going to be then attaching that gold foil all at once. So I'll get a bunch of pieces cut up while I'm waiting for this to dry. It goes clear. So any of you that are thinking, what if some of that shows? That's a weird color. Yeah, it dries clear. And then we're going to let it sit until tacky, usually 20 to 30 minutes. But again, it's really going to depend upon your weather, the heat, the humidity, those sorts of things. Obviously always have an impact on dry times of anything. So, you know, just keep checking. You don't want it to be dry. You want it to be kind of sticky, not wet. As the sizing dries, you'll see that it starts to go clear. In essence, it also starts to seal your paint. Bonus. And that's when it's getting good for starting to do some of this part. So you can start to put this on. So again, the shiny side up, that gold side up, and you just want to really burnish it down in, right? So you can take different tools to do this, you know, like the end of a paintbrush if you want, just to be able to, on weird surfaces like this, I kind of use other tools here. But then, my glue is still too wet. I'm a little too eager. Okay, so I got some that came off, but, and you can see, it's still a little too sticky. It's a little too wet. But you'll notice, like on the sheet, this clear section, that's used. But all these other places, that still works. And they're going to be perfect for putting onto some of your smaller spots and some of your smaller spaces, wherever you've got, like, you know, just a little bit that you need to get stuck on, like onto the leaves and things. So you get to use the entire sheet. Okay, this is where I run into troubles, where I have something that's back here, a project I've started that's kind of time sensitive. And this is time sensitive because of the curing. And then I have a customer that comes in with a lot of questions. That's always the way it goes. So some of this may be a little too dry, in which case then I'll have to just repaint it. We'll see. You know, it's just my challenges. And you may face the same thing, right? That you get this painted and you think you have lots of time, and then before you know it, the kids are calling you for something, and you're kind of going, oh, I missed my window of opportunity here. So as much as I love gold leaf, right, and gilding, what I love about this is that it really kind of gives you this uneven sort of finish. And so it's not this perfectly solid color, in which case, you know, I'm thinking that we're going to play a little bit with layering some of the colors. So just around the rim here, I'm just looking on some of these pieces that I've used to get some of the little patches off. Yeah. You want to use it all. All right, So I am going to continue to apply my gold where I can. It feels pretty tacky right now, so I'm actually getting some pretty good adhesion. And then we're going to take a look at perhaps adding in another color. And I'm kind of wondering about maybe adding in a little bit of red. That might be kind of cool. I don't know. I've never used the red. I don't know how red the red looks. But I'm kind of thinking this smaller piece is maybe, oh, my fingers are sticking to it, so that's a good sign. I'm thinking the smaller piece is maybe the perfect time to just kind of play with it and try it out, right? But again, a completely different look than you get with the gold leaf. It's a lot less solid, a lot less in your face, which is neither good or bad. It just really depends upon the piece itself and what you're looking for more than anything else, right? Okay, I'm going to continue to get my gold everywhere, and then I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll come back and make a decision about whether we want to try a little bit of a little bit of red. I wanted to try and add a little bit of the red onto this, just because I've never done it. I've never done two colors. So what I did do was I took a little tiny paintbrush and I just painted some trim, some edging. And so that I didn't want tons of the red. I just wanted a bit of the red. So some places it's still a little tacky, I'm not sure. A little too wet, sorry. I'm not sure if I'm a little bit, Okay, so check that action out. Can you see the little bit of red just in the trim? So I've done like the little outside of leaves and just that little trim, this top edge. So just a little bit here and there. Okay, that's kind of fun. All right, so I'm gonna carry on seeing, hopefully I can remember the places that I put it, because it disappears as it dries, but I'm just gonna carry on with this. Oh, okay, yeah, it's working. Okay, this is our finished mirror. Let me put this out of the way. Definitely a change and a whole different look from the really bad silver job that was on it. Not that silver would have been bad. Certainly, I think painted black and then with the silver, you can see the little bits of red that were there, which I actually quite like how that it's just here and there. When you're applying your glue, the more even the glue is, the more even your gold is going to go on. I didn't want solid gold, so I did kind of a scratchy brush so that it was uneven, which is what you can see here, that it's not solid gold, it's a little bit patchy. If you were doing a drawer front, I would be tempted to do a spray glue and then immediately apply your foil so that you get really super even coverage. And then take a, like maybe like a credit card or squeegee to really burnish it down in before you remove it. Any patches that you have, you can go back over and you could do touch-up glue, right? So add a little bit of glue and then do over again. Unlike the gold leaf, you don't have harsh edges and things like that. So it gives you that ability, but you also get the opportunity to be able to kind of two-tone this if you wanted, you know, so there is bronze and silver, there are patterns of this, so you've got a lot of options and a lot of flexibility. But I had somebody in the shop that didn't know what the foil was versus the leaf, and since I had some in the shop, I thought maybe you guys would want to see it and ultimately maybe give it a try. Let me know if you do. You know I like to hear from you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one, whatever it may be. So until then, take care.